Guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a few weeks, so I wanted to jump on. I am not even going to edit this video. I'm literally just going to raw dog it and we're going to catch up. So a little bit of a different one. This is going to be very chatty, so if you don't really care, probably suggest not watching this one. It's just going to be me sitting here shooting the shit. So if that's not for you, then jogon.com. So what I wanted to do was create a little series, I guess, through this prep, talking about, I guess, like little journal entries or diary entries of how I'm feeling and where I'm currently at. And I think for me, it's going to be really nice to look back and see where I was at. So anyway, I've taken some notes just so that I don't go too off track. But I guess this week, the closer I get, the more I notice the internal pressure that I have put on myself this season. And nothing external at all, like literally just myself, my standards, and I guess like what I expect of me, my expectations. And I'm going to dive into it a little bit deeper, but I do feel that I want to just clarify from the beginning, this is just how I'm feeling. I don't mean to come across like, I don't know. I don't want this to be taken out of context, but I definitely just want to share truthfully where I'm at, how I think, how my brain ticks, and yeah, everything that's been going on inside of it. And I want to be able to be vulnerable with you guys and really share that. So I guess how you interpret it is up to you, but yeah, gonna get into it now. But basically this last week, I would say, or last 2 weeks, the internal pressure that I've put on myself has definitely been there and has gotten greater over that time. I think looking back on my last season and seeing what I was truly capable of was one of the best things that could have happened to me, but definitely brought its own challenges. And what I mean by that is I feel that when you're that close or you're in proximity to your potential, you genuinely, like, you can't unlive that. And I feel like your standards change forever. And I just think something shifted in me and I can't explain it. Like, I just feel like that level was no longer acceptable to me. And it was like, right, what is the next level that I can bring? So yeah, I think when you really, as I was saying, like you touch on your proximity to your potential, your standards almost change forever. Like I don't think you'll ever be the same. So I think that's something I've been grasping potentially for the entire start of this prep. It's been 5 weeks, but it's something I've noticed very early on that the levels I expect of myself have dramatically increased. And I think it's harnessing that and being able to use that rather than let it kind of take over in a negative way. So anyway, I'm going to refer to my notes because I don't want to go too off track with this and kind of stick to the point. We don't need this video going for 6 hours. So yeah, anyway, next point I wanted to talk about was, that was just my alarm to take my iron, which I've already done. Next point I wanted to talk about was a book I've been reading. So I think something that I've genuinely realized in this last few weeks is that for me, it's not about like doing the training and doing the nutrition. Like I do those things year round and I'm quite, I guess, prep doesn't feel like it changes anything in that realm for me. Like everything's relatively the same. Obviously just there's more output, less food over time. But for me, it's the mental battles and the mental, I don't even want to say battles, but like, I guess battles and just the things you overcome mentally through a prep that I really wanted to kind of target this prep and focus on and really lean into. So anyway, point of that, what was I saying? Oh, I've been reading a book and it's called Winning by Tim Grover. And I've actually got it next to me just in case anyone wanted to see. But I've been reading this book and honestly, one thing he talks about is how winning changes you as a person. And I don't just mean winning like in the sense of a medal or a trophy, but I guess like winning looks different for everyone. And if you read the book, it kind of goes into that a little bit deeper about like what is winning to you, because winning is something different to everyone. So yeah, when I'm speaking about winning, I'm not necessarily meaning in the form of actually just like placing. But once you've experienced winning, whatever that looks like for you, you can't unsee it and you can't like unexperience it. So yeah, anyway, that hit me really hard when I was kind of reading about that. And just gonna get my little notes. I guess you just stop seeing your previous self and previous versions of you as acceptable. Like you want to raise that bar even higher for yourself. And I think for me, it's not me sitting here being like, I don't like the past versions of myself. I think every version of you is so necessary, but I do think that you can't unsee what you're capable of, and that creates a different kind of pressure and feeling. So I think like you become obsessed with what could be if you fully let yourself get there. Sorry guys, I literally just had to stop that because we have some people working on the house next door and the dogs just went literally psycho. As I was saying, you become obsessed with what you could become if you fully let yourself go there. And I feel like to fully let yourself go there, you can't let self-sabotage creep in. So I think the closer you get, those things start to pop up and you just have to like jab, jab, cross those motherfuckers out. So yeah, that's been a huge realization that I've had. But I think like the hard part is the obsession can quite quickly present itself as pressure if you're not careful. And there's nothing wrong with pressure, but I think like it's how you frame it to yourself and it's how you let it not even control you, but how you let it, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I also feel like people think that athletes or people who have won their pro card and things like that are automatically confident all the time. And I've always been super transparent and honest in sharing this side of it. Like it's just not the case. And I think the best athletes aren't confident all the time. They just learn to keep moving even when fear is present. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to really share this side of things, not to come on here and mope, but just to kind of talk about how I'm navigating, I guess, the mental side, because you guys see the training and the food and just like the day-to-day routine things. But I feel that not everyone talks about what maybe goes on between the ears. So I thought I would share. And if anyone's feeling the same, then maybe you'll relate. But yeah, I think as well in the book I'm reading, he talks a lot about how elite performers, they operate differently. Like they just don't operate the same. You know, we don't operate on having certainty about everything. We don't operate on all the conditions being perfect. We don't operate on just everything lining up in the way it's supposed to and having no variables. And obviously anyone who's done a prep understands that like things don't always go to plan, like things pop up, and you really just have to get good at one, accepting that things are going to happen, and two, how you approach that emotionally and also how you overcome that is massively a part of a prep. So yeah, that's something I've had to confront this week, and I feel like my brain is often one that wants reassurance, and reassurance can look like a lot of different things. And you know, sometimes we're seeking reassurance that we're enough, that we've grown enough, that we have improved enough, that we've nailed all the things that we wanted to nail in our off season, that the prep's going to go smoothly, that we're going to come in correctly on show day, and all of those things. But at the end of the day, like nothing is certain, and all you can really control is what you're doing in the process. So it's also just about trusting that work and trusting that everything you're doing is enough. Anywho, I feel like the version of me that I'm moving into doesn't need reassurance and is someone who is super sure of what they're doing. So that's something that I've really faced, I guess, this week and the last few weeks, just around how I'm feeling, and just kind of like trusting the process even when emotion fluctuates, and that's like such a big part of anything you do. It's like you can't trust how you feel all the time, but you can trust that you are doing what you need to do. And at the end of the day, like all you can control is your input. So yeah, big TED talk there about that. But I've also been thinking about like identity a lot this week, and you know, just being someone capable of controlling those factors through a prep. I think it's really important to me when we look at what we think is a good athlete or is important as an athlete. For me, it's being one that can hold my emotional resilience and my mental resilience through when things get hard, rather than spiraling and finding ways to kind of like comfort myself that don't last. So almost like facing that head on. And I think maybe that's why this prep already feels different, because it's not me as a first timer wondering what my body will look like and how I'll come in and just not knowing what's going to happen. It's mental for me now. Like it's not just physical. So I think I'm being forced to confront these parts of myself, which I love, because I love a challenge. But I think when you're in it and you're fucking balls deep in it, it can feel a lot. Anyway, this is so deep for a Monday, but here we are. But yeah, I think like my perfectionist brain and my wanting to control everything sometimes is something that you just have to understand that you aren't going to have full control over situations. Fear of not reaching my potential, like all of those things are just honestly the pressure I put on myself because I care so much. But again, they're not in my hands. So it's back to trusting everything and everything I'm doing. I also, although I'm saying that, I do feel that this has been the most connected I've ever been to the sport of bodybuilding. So I do think that although I'm sounding like I've completely lost it, I'm probably more connected to myself and to the process now more than ever. Just excuse the background noise. Yeah, and I think the process has always been my favorite part. So it's not about like always being sure or certain or having certainty. It's, for me, I think the best athletes are the ones that can learn emotional control and can, no matter what gets thrown their way, it's like that cup half full mentality. It's like, okay, cool. Like, how am I approaching this? Like, what am I doing? Like, things are going to come up. Like, how am I going to navigate them? Yeah, so just like staying steady while everything around you feels uncertain is probably the best way to put it. Yeah. So anyway, this week or the last 2 weeks have just been about trying to come back to the present, really focus on just what I'm doing each day. Like the most important thing is right now. And Tom actually said to me years ago when I was going through all of my health stuff with my Crohn's, he said to me, the most important thing is right now. And this is a really weird analogy that I applied to a really like different situation. But basically when I was moving to Melbourne, I was on the highway, and with everything going on at the time with my Crohn's, like I couldn't hold it when I needed to go to the toilet. And I remember just wanting to be like in my new home so bad, and I just didn't want to stop. Like it was just an inconvenience. And I was on the phone to Tom, and he's like, pull over like at a servo and just go, because like what's most important is how you feel right now, like this moment, because that's all we have. And that really, I feel like that sat with me, like, and I use it in so many aspects of my life now. It's kind of like the most important thing is right now. Like we don't have control over what is going to happen, so it's like just approach the now the best you can, and that's all you can really do. Anyway, that's enough of the deep chat, but I am going to get up some questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram a little while ago and just answer a few of those. But yeah, on the topic of like where I've been and what I've been doing, obviously prep life, but I have been journaling every day, reading every day, and just getting back to the things that keep me present. So with my journaling, I've actually been getting up ChatGPT and generating prompts for myself. And obviously if you use ChatGPT, then it's super personal to you. So it brings up a lot of different prompts around like different topics, and I usually just pick one from each topic and journal about them. So for me, some of them are future self and expansion, deep reflection, emotional awareness, relationships and energy, body image and identity, and ambition and success, and emotional awareness, control and surrender, power and presence. So a lot of different elements, and I just take a few from there and journal every day. I also meditate while I'm listening to some high frequency music, and I just take that time in the morning. I get up an hour earlier than I need to and start my day with that, and it's been really, really helpful. I've been listening to podcasts and audiobooks as well, and just trying to like fill my time learning again, and like just bring myself back to the things that make me present, instead of just like scrolling on my phone or mindlessly like doing anything. Anywho, let's answer some questions. I'm just going to bring them up. For some reason, I always get a lot on my, what's it called? My NGL, like the anonymous one. I don't get a lot of people ask with their name. So I don't know if I'm just scary and you guys don't want to message me. But yeah, I'm just going to bring these up. So one of the questions was, when's your next show? When was this asked? Okay, some of these are from a little while ago. I've just scrolled really far down. When is your next show? So obviously I've announced I am doing New Zealand, and that is my next show. So that is on September the 12th, I believe. I should know that. September 12th is my next show in New Zealand with FMG. So I'll be doing the pro show. Yeah, that's my next show. I won't announce any further details about future shows just yet, but yes, that is the plan so far. Do you feel more confident going into this next season? I guess pre our conversation, so the conversation at the start of this might have made it seem like I'm not. I definitely am. Like, I'm way more confident than when I did my amateur debut in Gold Coast last year. I think being in the pro ranks now, it really does feel like you're starting again. Like, and for me, obviously I won my pro card in my first show. So I feel like I am still really early in my journey. And although I've trained for years and years and years and lived the lifestyle, it doesn't take away from the fact that I feel like a newbie when it comes to shows and all of that. So obviously I did my amateur debut last year and my pro debut in Italy. And yeah, like when I look at it, it's only my second ever season. So, and I've never done a comp before FMG either. So yeah, I'm definitely not saying I'm not more confident. Like, I am more confident in the fact that my posing will be better. The foundational things that I had to learn from the scratch, like the first time, I don't have to do that again. I don't think the nerves for me ever go away in terms of, as I said, like pressure and caring deeply about it, but I definitely feel more confident in the process side of things, if that makes sense. So another question I got was, are you doing anything differently next prep compared to last time? Yeah, I feel like every prep is going to be different, right? Like, no prep is going to be the same. I find that like really hard to answer, because I'm not sure if you mean, the person that asked this means like process wise, or like what we did. Like, obviously you have your foundational processes and things like that with your coach, and your coach knows your body better than you do. But I wouldn't say anything different in terms of like processes as such. Like, it's looking like a normal prep. I would say that knowing that I can get into comp condition, we aren't going as hard as early, and just making sure that I, you know, hold on to the tissue that I've built in my off season, and, you know, that I don't compromise that and I don't compromise fullness. But I wouldn't say anything different in terms of like the prep side of things. I think it's all relatively normal. I would say this prep has been a lot cruisier, and I'm feeling very chill, and everything's super easy and just nice at the moment. So yeah, I mean, differently probably, like this prep's going to look different to my previous season, but yeah, I don't really know if that answers the question. One of the questions I got, I think this one was a little while ago, and I'm so sorry. I always do that. I put up a question box and then don't answer them. Fucking what's new? But someone asked me, did you have areas you wanted to focus on with your training in this off season? Yes, I did. Obviously, I am a big believer that your feedback from the Federation is personal to you, and I personally don't like to just air my feedback out online. Not for any other reason, but I just wanted to get to work and just take on board what was needed. But yeah, definitely had goals with my off season, and I can confidently say I could not, and I will like look back on this video and watch this and be like, yeah, but I could not have gone harder. I could not have done more in the off season. So when I get back up in September, it will have been 18 months and I genuinely could not have done any more. And I think that that in itself makes me so, so proud. And I just know I can walk away from it being like, there's nothing else I could have done. There's literally nothing else. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. I had focus areas for sure, and I feel like I nailed them. So I'm excited. I hope so. I mean, if I get to stage and it reveals that I didn't, I still know that there's like genuinely nothing else I could have done in the off season. So I feel pretty good about that. Hello guys. Sorry, I had to move inside because I was getting so fucking triggered. We have people building next to us and it was so loud. I'm really hoping that you can still hear me in the audio. Anyway, we will finish this inside. Okay, mistakes from your last prep you want to avoid this time. I don't feel like we made any mistakes. And I say that, I mean, I think everything's learning. I don't think there's mistakes. And I feel like as well, from what we knew about my body and what we did and brought, like we couldn't have done it any different. So I think it was all learning. I don't like saying that there were mistakes because I just don't think there were. I think I'm really happy with how and what we did. I don't know how to answer that, but I don't think that there were mistakes. And I don't think that things that happen in a prep are ever a mistake. I think you make a decision at the time that you think is right, or your coach thinks is right, or is right. And that's that. Like it's right for that time and what is happening. So yeah, I don't feel like there were any mistakes. I definitely think there's refinements and things that we will do based on the data we have on my body now. And obviously knowing what look they want us to bring, and also just from my feedback, like obviously there are things we are working on and doing, like aiming towards to do differently, I guess, but I will stand by the fact that I don't think we made any mistakes in my preps. So yeah, I don't feel like there's anything that we necessarily need to avoid. We did the work on what we got told to do, and we will continue to follow what is being asked of us. I don't know if that answers that question, but yes, I don't feel like they were mistakes. I think you make the right decisions, and any decision you make in your prep or your coach makes in your prep is the right one for that time. So I have full trust in Tom, and yeah, that's that. I did get a question saying, do you feel pressure with socials to stay lean? Not necessarily. I would say like external pressure for me, like I care more what I think about myself. In terms of if we're relating this to a prep, if I look back at my journey from post-comp in Italy, as a first timer, obviously I had Gold Coast, but I was straight back into prep. Basically, I had a few days off and enjoyed myself, but being that we had Italy 8 weeks later, I was pretty much straight back into prep to make sure everything was where it needed to be. Obviously food was higher going into Italy and I was training a lot harder. I tried to make as many changes as I could from Gold Coast to Italy. So obviously training intensity increased, food increased, like things were happening differently for that specific show so that I could get the most out of it in that 8 weeks. Yeah, no, I don't feel pressure to stay lean for social media. I wouldn't say I put pressure on myself to stay lean, but I do think that there is a healthy amount of body fat that is potentially accrued post-comp. I do think I went north of the other way. Like I do think I put on a little bit more fat than I maybe wanted to for myself, but looking back, I don't regret a thing. And I can honestly say that. Like at the end of the day, we all end up back in the same position. And I think trying to assume where the right body fat for you is post-comp is super unhealthy, because it's like, who writes the rules on that? I think it's where you feel somewhat comfortable, but it is really hard to navigate because obviously you have been so lean. That contrast is always going to feel quite severe, and your mind does need time to catch up. So I don't think if I'd done things any differently that my emotion post-show towards that would have been any different. Did I struggle? Yes. But did I stick to the plan and just get done what I needed to anyway? Yes. I don't know that post-show will ever be easy, but I also don't think prep is easy in its own right at times. So I think it's just a different type of challenge that we need to look at as an opportunity for growth. And yeah, it sucks sometimes when you're in it, but I mean, we all end up back in the off season. We all end up back in a healthy position. And I think getting healthy is priority one post prep. Like, you've deprived yourself for a long time. That is easier said than done, but with that does come body fat, fluid retention, and not feeling your best for a few months. So yeah, I think my last season as well, being that I was in prep for upwards of, well, Gold Coast was 22 weeks and then I had 8 weeks to Italy. So you can imagine I was in a diet for 30 weeks. So it was quite intense. And I knew that the payback on my body would be a little bit longer and potentially so. I think you just learn each time. And I think each season will be different, and, you know, you learn and you use it to move forward. Okay, this question was kind of funny. What is the hardest part of off season for you? What do you really struggle with? Be for real. I don't think I've ever not been for real, first of all, on my socials. But yeah, love the question. What is the hardest part of off season? Honestly, I'm going to sound so cringe when I say this, and I'm going to try and word this like, I don't actually find off season hard. I find the training intense and hard, and what I put my body through quite brutal. But I wouldn't say I mentally struggle in an off season. I actually spoke to Tom about this a few check-ins ago around when the lights are out and the stage lights are out. For me, that's where I've lived most of my journey. That's where I've really grown as a person, and I fell in love with training at a really young age. But I was about 15 and I'm 29 now. Obviously not all of that, let me just preface, not all of that was good training or bodybuilding specific training. I trained quite questionably. We've all been through our group fitness era. We've all been in that, like, well, I mean, I feel like we all have, I don't know, but I'm speaking from my experience. You know, I went through my group fitness era, then I went through my underfueling era and my like just wanting to be skinny era. And then I went through my, you know, my issues with food, and then I went through my stuff with my Crohn's. So I've been through a lot of chapters in my journey. Training has always been a foundation for me, like a somewhere that I can always come back to. So I personally find off season the most rewarding, and I actually find the prep and the stage the most scary. I think as well, like with now the fact that I am competing as a professional athlete, I struggle with that title a little bit. I think not because like I'm so proud of myself. I don't want to come off like, yeah, I'm not grateful or anything like that. I think I struggle with just, I don't know. I think I love sharing my journey, but I think the realization post last prep was there were a lot of people following along. And it was so beautiful, but I think sometimes I'm just so used to being in the dark and not having competed before. So just different challenges come with obviously, you know, competing in the pro ranks, and these girls are amazing. Like, I honestly, like, some of these girls that I will potentially be up against, like, have done so many seasons and are just like veteran athletes, as we call them. Like, they're just amazing. And it can be quite overwhelming. And although we all start somewhere, I know, and yeah, this is my second ever season, I think it can be a lot sometimes. So I didn't really even answer that question. I don't really struggle with off season. I have my days, absolutely. Do I hate training sometimes? Absolutely. Honestly, I said to someone the other day, like, training is like it's this long-term relationship you have with training. Like, you are going to have months and seasons where you fucking hate it. You're going to have times in your life you just don't want to do it and you don't want to show up. But I think the difference is you just do it anyway. And it's just not assigning too much emotion to those times in your life. I actually remember a vital conversation that I had with Mitch, my partner, and it was years ago. And I remember I was just in a phase of like absolutely hating training. And I was balls deep in the off season. And I wanted to cry. Like, going to the gym, I was like, I just can't be fucked. And putting myself through these like leg days and just annihilating myself. And he was like, well, if you hate it so much, like, why do you do it? And I'm like, it really made me think. And it was like, I do it because I love what it brings me. I love what training brings me. And I think I've spoken about this before on my socials, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it is just so true. I don't necessarily love a brutal leg day where I want to literally die on the hack squat, but I love what that brings me and I love the person that makes me. I love that I'm someone who does it anyway. I love that I show up regardless of how I'm feeling, and it proves to me that I'm resilient and I can do hard shit. And that to me is what means so much to me about training. I don't necessarily attach a love to the actual doing it, I guess. I don't know. I go through phases where absolutely I'm loving it, and I always joke, I'm like, oh, don't scare it away, like I'm loving it. But yeah, I think it's normal for it to be monotonous. It's normal for it to get and feel that way, but good athletes understand that, and they just let it kind of flow on by, and it just is what it is. It's just a temporary feeling, like anything else in life. Like, everything is temporary, so I just kind of let it pass through and continue to get the work done. Anyway, what does the structure of your check-ins look like with Tom? Go over in terms of comp prep, before next comps, etc., challenges you go through, etc. My check-ins with Tom, I do weekly through prep. So I go see Tom in person. Obviously, I am local to the area, so it's easy for me to come chat to him, and we talk about my check-ins. So I've never been asked that before. Like, I guess any other check-in process, quite similar. So I do my check-in photos, my physique photos in the morning. I do my check-in form, and then I go in. I book out Tom's calendar like a month to 2 months in advance, because I have the same time every Tuesday. And I'm just laughing because last prep I was getting so triggered because I was like, someone booked my time. Like, it's not even my time, by the way. I don't own it, but I'm very set in my ways. And I was like, someone booked my time. And Tom's like, yeah, you fuckwit, you double booked. The wig is on. She double books the check-ins. But anyway, yeah. So I go in for my check-in and we do my skin fold measurements. So skin fold calipers, so fat calipers, if you're not familiar with those, it just tells us on each site how much body fat there is. The phase I'm in, obviously being a prep, we want to see those markers go down. We go over my check-in form, so all my data, so anything to do with me as an athlete we talk about. That includes everything that's like mental, physical, emotional, all of it. We go over it. Things are pretty cruisy. There's not, especially like, I just follow the plan. Like, I just do what Tom asks of me. I don't like to create friction. I don't like to have any variables. So for me, it's like, just what's the plan? I just do it. Everything's pretty cruisy at the moment. I guess, like, I did have another question about what are my protocols at the moment. I don't know when that was asked, but now that I am 16 weeks and 5 days out, sessions of cardio, 20 minutes, my calories are still quite high. I'm not going to disclose, but like, they're pretty high still. I feel like I'm just chilling. I haven't had like massive bouts of hunger or anything like that. They're at 12,000. They stay there like my entire prep. They don't generally move. I don't include my cardio in my steps. So I guess take that as you will. Maybe they're higher, but I don't count cardio as steps. The cardio I'm doing at the moment is Stairmaster and occasionally a run here and there. I did not just add running in as a new thing. I also had questions about the running, so I'll get to those in a second. I have been running for years and years, like literally since 2019, I have run consistently. no, it's not a new thing. It's not a fad for me. I don't always post about it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Running is arguably a lot easier for me than something like the Stairmaster. My mental health, and it's taken out when appropriate. So when it is no longer helping my progress, / if it is going to hinder anything, it is removed. How often do I run? Did I run through my last prep? All of those things. Yes, I ran through my last prep. I do time-based cardio. So depending on how much time I've been allocated, that's how long I'll run for. If it's 20 minutes cardio, I'm doing 20 minutes of running. My heart rate is up around the same range as when I'm doing, say, the Stairmaster. I try to keep all of that pretty relevant at this far out. Obviously, as you get fitter, leaner, and closer to show, heart rate, in my opinion, does not become reliable data because you obviously struggle to get your heart rate up as high. I think that was all the running questions I did get. Yeah. I hope that answers everything about that. And yes, I ran through my last prep. So I did keep it in up until, honestly, I think like 4 weeks out or 3 weeks out. I wasn't obviously doing it every day. So it was arguably easier than other cardio anyway. I actually didn't do Stairmaster. I did incline walks the entire prep. Yeah, but in saying that, like I was a psychopath with the incline walks. Like I was doing level 15 or 16 incline, 6 speed. So I would argue that I found that harder. I actually wanted Stairmaster in last prep, but we found that it made me super inflamed and to the point where it was like actually like hindering my recovery. I have no idea why. Like I actually don't know, because like the amount I was doing on the incline walk anyway was like diabolical, but it just worked for me, so that's what we did. I'm going to leave the questions there. I also wrote a letter to myself. I know this sounds so silly, but I wrote it in my journal and I was almost going to share it with you guys. I'm going to do a quick little, I missed a few pages when I was journaling the other day. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote. Oh my God, I feel like I'm, why am I embarrassed? I've got the rosies about this. This is full vulnerable. This is literally me reading my diary to you guys. Like we're getting balls deep here. Okay, I'm not going to read all of it, but like, I'm just going to read a part of it. So, I'm entering this season where I no longer repeat that pressure creates greatness. And I'm learning that peace, presence, and trust can create that too. They allow us to perform at the highest level possible. I release the attachment and belief that suffering is a representation of success. I will no longer allow myself to prep from fear. This time I will prep from self-respect. This season is not about proving my worth, but about the connection with myself and what I learn and living in my purpose. I trust in the work that I've done, the person I'm becoming, and the parts of me that are still healing. I trust what is meant for me will not miss me, but also won't require a destruction of my peace. I choose to experience this season. I am safe in uncertainty and I am powerful in the presence I will bring. I am becoming everything that I once prayed for. I get emotional literally reading that. Anyway, I feel like I just literally read a prayer to you guys. Anywho, so that is me. That's me, 16 weeks, 5 days out. I hope you enjoyed this long-winded video that was all over the place. I can't wait to catch up with you guys in a week, maybe end of this week. 16 weeks out at the end of this week, and I also have check-in tomorrow. So I feel like I'll have data to show you. I have vlogged a little bit of the weekend, so I might put that together with some clips from this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, I'll do another Q&A box on my Instagram. And if you liked this video, let me know. I am so happy to be back and sharing this with you guys. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.